Okay, leave it all over, you're staying home.
Okay, let's start.
Can't wait to stay home. Yes.
She's checking the stream. Checking the stream.
I don't see us.
They're pulling us up online, just check that avenue.
Better to make sure.
I see us. Let me click on it. There we are.
I don't see us.
Okay. Easier on the computer.
It's on the computer.
Okay.
And we have some.
Excellent. Good to go.
Okay.
All right, today is Monday, November 17th, 2025. This is a Personnel, Finance, and Auxiliary Services Committee meeting of the School District of Menominee Falls. There is a possibility that a quorum of the full membership of the Board of Education may be in attendance at board committee meetings. There will be no full board action taken at any committee meeting. Only members of the committee may vote on any item on the agenda. A live broadcast will be streamed on the school district's YouTube page. To watch the recorded meeting, please visit our School District of Menominee Falls YouTube site. We are located at Village Hall, upper level conference room, 3344 and 3345, located at W156 N8480 Pilgrim Road in Menominee Falls. And I'd like to call this meeting to order at 5:47. Was this meeting properly posted?
Yes.
Thank you. Right now I'm seeking a motion to approve the minutes from the October 20th Personnel, Finance, and Auxiliary Services Committee.
I'll make a motion to approve the October 20th, 2025 Personnel, Finance, and Auxiliary Services Committee meeting minutes.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, minutes have been approved. First item on our discussion tonight is the annual OPEB Trust Investment Review.
All right. So this is an annual item. It is very consistent from year to year, especially because we have very minimal activity. Our OPEB trust is our Fund $73. So OPEB stands for Other Post-Employment Benefits. We have $2.7 million in the trust right now, which is through Midwest Institutional Trust Services. And then PMA is our investment manager. On the attached document, which is available on Board Docs, you can see our interest earnings for the prior year, and this is for the 24-25 fiscal year. $123,000, which is up about $8,000 from the prior year, which makes sense due to interest rates. And then the top of the second page shows the disbursements, which for us is just life insurance payments. So just under $10,000 and very consistent from year to year. Just about $9,500 of disbursements for life insurance from the trust in 24-25. And then the next item on page 2 shows that we are 100% in ultra conservative income. So that's our investment strategy. We have talked about looking at conservative growth. So I actually met with PMA to just understand the difference between the two and when each makes sense, which investment strategy makes sense. And we really came to the conclusion that we have to understand our goals and our budget strategy for these dollars first before we would make a change. So if we did intend at any time in the near future to start utilizing our Fund $73 for our TSA payments, so those are payments that our employees receive when they reach a couple criteria, so a certain age and years of service. So we'll be talking about that at our, I think, 4th agenda item here, but generally it's age 57 or 62 based on employee group and 20 years of service, and based on employee group, employees receive a retirement benefit, and that right now is entirely coming out of Fund 10. So it is Fund 73 eligible, but we just have not ever used Fund $73 for that. Fund 73 was previously for the health insurance retiree benefit, which ended over a decade ago and no longer has any costs associated with it on the district's behalf. So we will in the coming months, as we start digging into 26-27's budget, we'll identify kind of the with more discussions, a game plan for these dollars if we just kind of keep going as is and maintain the ultra conservative investment income strategy, or if we decide to start utilizing these Fund 73 dollars for those TSA benefits currently coming out of Fund 10, which essentially would just free up Fund 10 dollars in the budget. In which case then, based on our budget strategy, we will have a better idea of making a knowledgeable change from one investment strategy to the next. I guess at a high level, the ultra conservative is we're going to use it in the near future, and as you kind of go down the different investment strategies, you would plan on not using the funds for longer and longer and longer out. So we'll stay here until we have a better idea of what our budget will look like in the coming years, and then we can have more knowledgeable conversations about our investment income strategy. So for now, we are still 100% in the ultra conservative, which has been doing well. So again, very consistent from year to year, very minimal changes from last year when we did the same review.
And when are we coming back with recommendations? Couple months?
Couple months, yeah, I would say in the spring when we start digging, we'll get real deep into the budget for 26-27. So you can, for sure before the end of the fiscal year, I think spring is very fair.
Yeah, this is something that we might look at because most districts those TSA payments aren't coming from the 10 fund. Yeah. So that's something for us to look at in the
I
future.
think I've asked that in the past, like why we're not paying those out on this account.
What is the rate of
Just
return?
Just past practice.
I mean, I can calculate it, I don't have my calculator with me.
So I believe this, I don't have it off the top of my head, and there's so many, yeah, say it's
3.5%.
I think it's about 3.5%. There's so many numbers on the summary pages.
You don't think conservative could be appropriate rather than ultra conservative? 3.5% rate of return.
Are there? I gotta let you know.
Yeah, I'm just looking, I'm reading the final pages of the report. I don't think it's going to identify that in this one, but I'll get that checked. I can send that to you.
And are there limitations to what you can use this money for?
Only, yes, retirement benefit,
Only retirement.
Post-employment.
post-employment.
So even though a lot of that post-employment that is gone, you still have, basically you have to funnel that 2.7 million through select thing.
Yeah,
Yes.
so whenever you're trying to predict the future of a health benefit, I mean, we've talked about health insurance, right?
Mhm.
So we know just how volatile that can be. So the people at the time do their best guess. I think Act 10 also changed things, so
Sure.
when people first started doing this, I think they thought they would have this expenditure for forever, for sure way longer. So that kind of changed things a little bit on them. So people at the time did their best guess of how to fund it to not have it be, in the negative or to constantly have liability. And we just so happen to have this amount left. I'm not sure why the district strategy was what it was to use Fund 10 and not this, but we can only use this money now that it's been put into this account for post-employment benefits, which is pretty much this, like
This is it.
TSA.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty much it. So there's not a whole lot of options, for it. So.
I will say too, I think the budget could sustain it, could handle those payments coming out of Fund 10, so they were this was just kept aside
At the time. And I think in Caitlin's, most previous presentation at the full board, but then also here, we had an unexpected $757,000 change in how the state is choosing to fund us. So I think that dramatically changes the course of the conversation about these funds, because we now have a new indefinite future negative And this will obviously be a strategy that the district will have at its disposal to help now fill that new gap. But once again, as Caitlin likes to say, it's one-time money, so it's not filling a gap forever. Because our new gap is almost $1 million, but it is something that can kind of help in the short term alleviate that as the district comes up with other strategies. So I guess we're thankful that we have this to help us know that we are facing some more difficult financial situations than, you know, the people 10 years ago had, you know, when they chose to keep going through fund time.
Over half of the districts statewide have a negative 73. So we're in a good situation for the short term. This is more long-term thinking, like think 10 years, 7 to 10 years. So the decisions that we're making are long-term decisions, or that we're gonna be putting in front of you. When Caitlin and I discuss this, it's less about, you know, 3 to 5, but more think 5 to 10. About these dollars and the plan, you know, for staff in 5 to 10. Because it's in a good spot right now. But what about 5 to 10? So it's more long-term, a financial approach. But we have some short-term decisions to make in that regard as well.
Any other questions, comments, concerns from board members? Good. All right. Thank you for that. We'll move on to discussion item B, district-owned land.
Okay, so I can give the lay of the land.
Oh, look at you.
Okay, so we have been kind of like informally discussing land on occasion. And in an effort to just present all of our information, that's kind of what this agenda item is. So we have, you know, especially like talking about our district office relocation and what do we own, where is it, and start just having a discussion about what could it look like if we were interested in selling. Just very, very high level information. So I think it's always helpful to just think in terms of we can make the most educated decisions when we have all of the information, or most information available. So the first document that's in your packet and is available on Board Docs is an outline of our school buildings and then other facilities and sites. So, you know, the top portion is all of our schools that we all know and love, and then the bottom portion we have our Community Ed and Rec Center, which this is prior to, I don't believe this includes our additional square footage. Our maintenance shop, which we do own, that's called the MacArthur property, and then we have a couple pieces of vacant land. So we often refer to Thomas Jefferson and Hiawatha together, and then which is about 17 acres, and then there's 45 acres of vacant land on Menominee Ave. So we'll spend a bunch of time today talking about the TJ and Hiawatha land and the 45 acres on Menominee Ave. And then there's just some additional information there on the history of those sites.
One good visual on that page, if you look at Ben Franklin and the square footage, 140,000 square feet, compared to Shady Lane, 67,000 square feet. I just bring that up because the district office relocation, that gives a good spot visual of how much larger a same size elementary is, because it used to be a middle school. So that's a pretty good visual right there, 140,000 square feet and change. And then the size of North and the high school as well. I think that's good comparables. One thing to point at is Valley View's property. If you look at the actual, not necessarily the square footage of the building, but the existing site acreage, 11.6 acres. It's approximately the same size as the middle school. The Valley View property is approximately the same size, a little smaller, but not much, than the middle school. It is a large piece of property, of which we don't use, you know, just a portion.
Is about half of it available? When you
Yeah,
think
we-
about the building and like the parking lot and the playground in the back, is it?
Yeah, the
there's a
district-
lot of-
Good question. The district at Valley View owns all the way to the road in the back. So the road in front of Valley View where the hospital is at, the road in back, we own all the way to the road on the other side. So
Are there like condos back there?
there are, but there's a
Across the
piece,
street.
there's actually a piece of land. Oh, yeah, there you go.
I guess it does.
So here's Valley View and we own up to the road.
All the way up to the shady lane there. Yeah, the condos are over on this side.
Obviously, this is our lot line, but
Soccer fields.
Yeah. And we've double checked it.
Mhm.
We own,
recently, yeah.
and actually triple checked it, cause we had some questions about, actual spottage, but, the Valley View piece of land is substantially large. Much larger than, compared to Riverside, for example.
Mhm.
The Riverside piece of property at 6 acres, it's almost twice the size.
Does it touch Custer? Like, down on the bottom, does it come
No,
up to the
we-
road?
we end
no.
here.
Okay, no.
Yeah, there's a fence line there, and that's, I think, medical.
The hospital's here.
Yeah, I just thought some of those comparables are really good on this one page. Okay, sorry about that.
Okay. And then the next page is just kind of a map of where the properties are. So obviously we're very familiar with their schools, and then the Hiawatha and Thomas Jefferson properties are kind of smack dab in the middle there, with the Menominee Ave property, it's called how we've been referring to it, Menominee Ave property out towards Lannon Road. And I can pull that, I previously typed it, it's like got this crazy number. I find it helpful to see it that way.
I think we're on this page here.
Okay, I'm trying to follow this here.
Yep.
This one.
One with the arrows.
Go with the arrows. So this is the 45 acres we're referring to is this area, this long rectangle.
Yeah, that little onset road on Menominee Avenue, Mr. Kramer, that's where we drove you in that one van. We were parked in that little inlet.
This
there.
little spot right here?
Yep. We drove in there with, was it Chris, myself, you, and, that's right. Just to show you the different parts of the property.
So that's where that is. I'll zoom out a little bit, so. let's see. And then our district ends at Town Line Road.
Mhm.
I agree.
So the next page is a plat map of the TJ and Hiawatha land.
It's on the back.
And you can see the parcel that exists, which also includes the wrong one here. The baseball diamond and this parking lot. Obviously not including the church.
Yeah, we actually received an email recently just about those properties.
So, and it's
Inquiry.
a very residential neighborhood. Okay. So the next document in this packet, and available on board docs, is a project that our district many years ago asked BUA, our architects, to just complete what would it look like and how many schools, what schools could fit out on our 45 acres. So this was done years ago, and EUA has shown a couple different options, and I'm calling them options, I mean like, it's just two scenarios that were developed with, they're not going anywhere right now, but two scenarios that were developed by our architects that show first scenario is a middle school on that land, and the second scenario is a middle school and an elementary school on that land. There is a wetland piece, like that back left kind of
The
area,
dark area.
the dark area that we can't build on because it's wetland, but it shows that those two schools do in fact fit with all linemen and all.
Yeah, this was done in about 2018, if memory serves.
Yep, there's a date on here,
Okay, so
2018, yep.
so about seven years ago, so this was drawn up by the board at the time, or administration, maybe not the board at the time, but the administration at the time had this commissioned, because these are drawings that cost the district some money back then. Not suggesting that this is anything other than theoretical. For us, it's theoretical, and just wanted everybody to be aware that a previous administration working with a board in this school district had put these ideas out there. Had put these ideas out there as concepts, as thoughts. There aren't our thoughts, but perhaps they are, perhaps they're not, but it's part of a discussion that was had here about that specific land, and we just wanted to make sure that everybody was aware of it, and B, if there's any thoughts. I mean, because the big thing about land is to decide if you're gonna use it, or if you're just keeping it, or if you wanna sell it. I mean, we'll get the values and appraisals in a little bit here, because all that is done now, which is good for the purposes of this meeting. But, holding on to land is something we can do. But there are questions that I've been asked for multiple years now. What is the district's position, or what are we doing with this land, if anything? And I'm not necessarily saying we have to do anything with it. I'm not suggesting we need to sell it. I'm not suggesting we need to build on it. I would just like some feedback and some thoughts, we all would, about some direction, about, some of this has to do with when somebody drew this up, whoever it was, in 2018. I mean, they put a middle school in here twice. And, it is our oldest building. It goes back to the 1940s. Doesn't mean that we need to, we've put a lot of money into that building within the last 2 years. 1.2 million in an HVAC system, over $1 million in roofing, to be sure, just on that facility. So we have done our due diligence in terms of building up that facility for the long term. That being said, we believe that those were the right things to do at the time. These are bigger picture ideas, just like the Fund 73 money is a 5 to 10 year idea. This land, we're just interested in everybody's thoughts about this, and perhaps getting some direction from community representatives, or at least the start of it. Sell it, don't sell it, wait. Continue to invest in the middle school. We don't need to decide all that today, but this is kind of the starting point for that discussion. Like I said, I have been approached multiple times in my 2.5 years in the district about what we're doing with that land. I've had people ask about sporting things on the land, or houses, and are you gonna sell it, are we gonna rent it, or
What's the water situation here?
the big piece of land, that's a good question. So this piece of land that someone in 2018 scripted up buildings on, that does have a water issue, meaning that the TJ's in Hiawatha is obviously improved. That's in the city, so it's on city water, and that sort of thing makes, those properties more valuable, if you will.
Mhm.
The property out on Menominee Avenue, it's my understanding from the village that we're 2 years out.
I don't think he would put a number on it.
It's farther, it could be farther than that, from the water from Lake Michigan, or how, maybe that's,
There's
so,
some kind of like subcontinental divide in the water.
No,
like,
that's true.
goes- Yeah.
yeah,
like,
no,
That's why all the homes out there are on septic and wells.
that's right. So that's part of the issue with that piece of property.
That's also why it's a lot of farmland, because it hasn't gotten developed, because nobody can have city sewer and water.
it's our understanding from the village that that's coming, but like Caitlin said, they're not willing to put a date on it. So it's years out for that to get improved.
Sewer and water, yeah.
For that to get improved to the point where TJ's and Hiawatha is already, because it's right in the city. So that, it's a great point, that is the issue with that bigger piece.
There'd be a lot of busing, to get students
So-
out that far when most people live on the other side. of
Yeah, I
town.
mean, you
So
can
have
look
a
at the
lot
map.
more kids being bused to school than you do when it's
Yep.
in the center of town.
65 to 66% of our students live south of Pilgrim. Ish, so that's accurate.
What are the efforts to maintain these plots of land? I mean, we have to actually cut the grass and it can't be just wild.
Caitlin has a good handle on that.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's extensive, but quite honestly, it's a lot of the ball diamond, the smaller piece, TJ and Hiawatha piece, because that's regularly used.
Used by
Our,
the community rec.
Yep.
Stuff, okay.
our junior teams,
Just the one time.
and it's used a lot.
Yeah, the big piece of property is a way out, and it would require a lot of planning, a lot of discussion. And to put up a middle school, a new one, 100 million is small. You'd need all of that in today's dollars. Maybe 5-7 years ago, that would be different. But we wanted to make sure these ideas were out there. When Caitlin and when I started, we did some onboarding. The village administrator has been great this way, because he had this, he was here when this was developed. And he was the one that said, hey, is this what you're doing with the land? And he pulled out this document, or a document very similar to it, going, well, neither of us were here in 2018. It was good to have that institutional memory. From him, but also for the community. And I'm sure some people remember it. Not suggesting that it is out there. It is on that side. I think this has to do with the land swap that occurred with Oakwood. So the Oakwood,
The Little League complex,
Yep.
yeah.
so there were some people that still think that we own Oakwood, which we do not. So Oakwood used to be district,
The Little League complex.
the Little League complex.
So there's Oakwood
Yep,
Park is separate.
two different things, but yeah,
Close to each other, but.
they're right there. So some people were still thinking that the ball diamonds were us in the Oakwood area right there. And they're not, they used to be. But this was part of that agreement back in the day, before 2018. Is our understanding. But these are our properties, and I think this gives a good global look at it. Like I said, we put millions into North in order to get that facility where it needs to be. We still have more to go. Obviously, it's an older facility, so it's gonna take more work and more time, but we're aware of where that work is on our 10-year capital improvement plan.
What is the likelihood, like you said, there's two drawings, there's one that's just the middle school, which again, I can see why at some point, either some serious renovations need to happen at the middle school or a new middle school, again, I'll be long gone by then. But there's the second drawing that has a elementary school and a middle school. And what is the likelihood that we actually need another elementary school, or that or if we did this, which elementary school would you close?
I think the idea at the time, and this is me having conversations, was like either a Valley View replacement because of the location of Valley View, or doubling like a Valley View and a Shady Lane. There was a lot of ideas that were being thrown around, but right now, a facility, having put in so much work into the middle school in the last 2 years, which was needed, Valley View's in need of some work right now. So that, infrastructure, from a continuous improvement, from a capital improvement perspective, Both, you know, Riverside and Valley View have similar issues in terms of pickup and drop off that need to be corrected. And I'm talking big picture and what needs to be corrected. There's only one way in and one way out, and buses and parents are in the same area. That's easier to fix at Valley View because we own all that property. It's more complicated at Riverside, but still doable. So I think that was clearly that was part of someone's, when they did this and did two buildings, they were like, okay, you know, you got the hospital right here and it's a really busy road. So if I do start a day at Valley View and the parents at Valley View will see this, Dr. Whopper, you were a Valley View parent for a lot of years. At the start of the day, depending on when you get there, there is a line on that road which is stopping hospital traffic and, you know, it's problematic. At the end of the day, parents actually use the playground and back to pick up students, which works, but it's not ideal. You know, so each of the buildings, I would guess that's why the two option came up, is because of drop off and pickup issues at Valley View, and some of the structural issues that just need to be addressed. We've addressed some of them, like water in the front, we addressed that last year, in terms of that issue, but
Cause Menominee is, I mean, I can't imagine what kind of traffic you're gonna bring there for drop off and pickup. Menominee.
right,
There's nowhere else to go, that you can go left or you can go right, like there's
Yeah.
not like 8 routes to that school.
Yeah.
You put it there, so I'm curious because it's so close to the road too. I mean, I know you wanna have a ball field and a track and all the things you wanna put behind, but like these buildings are really, really close to the road, or at least they appear that way, maybe it's just.
yeah, and it was a rendering by someone drawing it. But I think there's some things ideal in certain parts of our building, like City Lane. They have a drive up that's off the road, and it looks like part of the road, but it's actually our property in that drive up, that's ideal. At Ben Franklin, there's a clear separation from parents and the buses, ideal, good, sort of thing. And the middle school drop off and pickup is separated for the most part. High school too, they've separated the buses on the far side and where students are. So I think that's why they drew it the way they drew it, just to answer that question. It makes sense to me why they would sketch it up that way. But there's things that we could definitely fix. I mean, we've talked to the principals about it, they're aware. They see the drive up and the pickup issues at both of those buildings, which I think should be a priority for us regardless of anything. That the Valley View drop off and pickup and the Riverside drop off and pickup is something in our capital improvement plan that we should push to the front. And regardless of anything, that would be my recommendation. And that's irrespective of this, but you can see the issue more by looking at it like this, globally. And how it's an easier fix at Valley View. We just have a lot of land and access to 2 roads. You know, but the price for that, we haven't done that yet, but that would come through the capital improvement plan, which I know we're bringing in December. So we're bringing that into December to this committee, which is why we're setting it up this way, so. What about selling land? Anybody think we should sell land? You don't have to commit to it, or?
What does selling land do for the total amount of money we can raise in a year?
That's a great question. So
Yeah, that is.
the amount of money that we can raise in a year is the revenue limit formula.
Yes.
So that is the amount of money that we get from property taxes and state aid. We can bring in additional revenue from sponsorship, from open enrollment, and from the sale of things. So there's no cap.
This truly is on top of.
It truly is on top, yes.
It would be cash.
Yes. Now, the process of selling land is 1 to 2 years. So like, let's say, obviously we're not, but like, let's say we're starting right now,
it could take a year or two, like we could be talking November of 2027, that something could, if we started it or not. But like 1 to 2 years is the process, so it's absolutely not as quick as the process of selling a home. And land in, we have been working with Judson to understand this process and what to expect in that scenario. Shit, I lost my train of thought.
It's not workable.
Yes, so in working with Judson, in order to get all of our information on the table, we had sought appraisals on the 2 pieces of land. So I'm calling TJ and Hiawatha 1 piece and the 45 acres the second. The TJ and Hiawatha property appraised at $495,000. The 45 acres appraised at $450,000. And again, that would just be cash that we would receive, there's no limit on it. And again, working with Judson, this is a starting point, like if you were to sell land, it doesn't mean that this is what we would have to list it at. But it helps create that starting sale price knowledgeably. In the appraisal report, there are different zonings, obviously, for what the land can be used for and what's currently zoned for. So the TJ and Hiawatha property would have to be rezoned, so it's not zoned for residential. And then in Menominee Falls comprehensive long-term plan, they anticipate this at some point, like in their long-term plan, they have it as low density single family housing. So the more doors you can put on a piece of property, the higher the value. So essentially that would be the lowest value if we were to sell. The higher you get in terms of more homes, so like apartments, multifamily housing on a piece of property is when a developer is going to get more dollars for their investment, so we can list it at a higher price. So so the TJ and Hiawatha property was appraised at just under $500,000.
So that appraisal is as institutional, like if it
It's
was,
institutional.
so would we apply to have
The
it
developer.
zoned as residential?
And then again, the big piece, I have a packet. Probably all have a packet. And then in a land sale process, the district would have the ability to accept or deny any offer. So let's say we went down this road and decided to list it, we could get to the very end and have an offer and say, no, this is not where we wanna go, and then we just stop at that point. So there's no, not liable for anything once you start listing it, you could always turn around at any point. So the TJ and Hiawatha land is zoned as civic and institutional, so it'd have to go through a rezoning process and develop it.
It seems like, and I think you might have mentioned this when you were showing me the properties, that just the shape of the property doesn't really fit the footprint of a modern school building.
Right, I mean TJ's and Hiawatha.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, when we were doing the drive around, and plus the proximity to our other facilities, you have, but also Riverside. And the proximity from there, even walking distance to Riverside. I think the one map that everybody has in their packet with the arrows is one to reference and just all of us that live here, like the one with all the arrows. This one is, when you look at where the TJs and Hiawatha, the red dots, it's an interesting, like where that is, where the rest of our facilities are, but then also where the majority of our students are. Not that we, obviously we have students all over, but.
This would be a middle school?
Yeah, the bigger property that we were talking about is the bigger dot out here.
Right, but I'm just saying, so you'd either put a middle school here, or you put it on Thomas Jefferson. that's like, right, like you've got, these are 4 elementary schools,
Right,
and you have a middle school in the middle of them, and you wouldn't have the middle school, which is not on this map, I mean, it's not a red dot on this map,
Yeah.
it's on this map.
Otherwise, another option, I mean, with all the work that needs to be done at Valley View is TJ and Hiawatha is at a spot for a future elementary school. And then what's the value of that land
They're good
by the
thoughts.
hospital?
yeah, they're good thoughts, but also just to juxtapose that a little bit, the Valley View property, remember it's 11.9 acres,
Right.
it's substantial. You could put another elementary right there if you're gonna build a new one,
Or that too.
or just upgrade. I mean, the upgrades at Valley View, the big things are, and a couple of our buildings are in a similar spot. It's their scape, in other words, the parking area, but also the playgrounds. And the playgrounds and the scape, and that's, you know, it's $500,000, $1 million easy, but a lot more to get all of that sort of thing done. Now, that's all in our, I think, in our capital improvement plans, it's out there in the years. But some of that infrastructure issues, you know, you can see the need in different places. And we'll focus on the student areas first, you know, rather than, for example, the high school parking lot. So the football parking lot, we've seen quotes at $500,000, we've seen them up to $1 million, just for that lot. And that lot is end of life, but, you know, we've been patching it and kind of getting it along, from a capital perspective. The TJ's and Hiawatha property they're good pieces of property and good location. The Menominee Avenue property, like Jennifer said, it's out there. You know,
Way up.
yeah, it's out there.
I think it's a pretty significant traffic for people out west coming in. I was talking to one of the people that live on that road, and the number of cars that go past there, it's like a lot of traffic. And then, like I said, there's not a lot of ways to
Get around.
get around.
Right.
You're dropping kids off and having a line out on the road, it's,
Well, not to mention just the water stuff situation.
yeah, I mean,
Sewage, you know, that's, could be 2 years,
I mean,
5
it's a
years,
nice
20 years.
big chunk,
I think the price value could go up once it was sewered.
Oh, for sure.
You know,
Yes.
I think that price is so low, because right now, I can't imagine anybody would be super interested in developing it.
Because of the lack of
Yes,
services.
yes.
Have you spoken to the village about possibility of rezoning?
It's come up in our monthly conversations with Mr. Fitzgerald, and he said that there'd be motivated people. There's motivated companies, builders, you know, it all has to do with the willingness and the desire for it to be for sale.
Does the village want anything to do with it?
I did not get that indication at all. No, I mean, what they're doing here and the reason for the district office leaving is they have made the decision to stay on their footprint here. Is to stay on, is their land. So they're gonna knock everything down and make it a police station, which is needed.
Yeah.
You know, to upgrade, but no, I didn't get any indication about that at all. But Mr. Fitzgerald and I talk often about as soon as it's for sale, he believes there would be, because of the lack of, there's not a lot of housing in the falls that's available. I know that, being all the year to get into the falls. And, you know, it's a desirable place to live. It's a great community, and there's just not a ton of available housing on this side of the falls, where the school district of Menominee Falls is. We have some of we're holding on to some of that land, a good portion of the buildable land.
I'm gonna go back to kind of the idea, like the 2-school idea, and just big picture with our number of elementaries. So we created our partner schools years ago, And that was in an effort to create staffing efficiencies. And unless there's kind of two pieces. One is enrollment projections and one is the cost of staff and like the staffing efficiencies that are created when we can combine our grade levels. Enrollment projections aren't into the future showing that we need an additional elementary school, so that's one piece. If we looked at another building, it would have to be replacing a building, like in terms of why we would need to do that. Like we wouldn't need a fifth because our enrollment's going through the roof, that's not the case. And there's nothing changing unless things change in the way that schools are funded, there's no room to add a building just because we want to spread kids out more. Like that would create less efficiencies in our staffing and we would undo what we did already. And we are very efficiently staffed because of our partner schools, because we have more students in those grade levels where we can maximize very well like the amount of teachers that we have, and we don't end up with bad numbers where it's like you have 17 in a class, so do you do 45 or do you do 17 and 15 and 30, you know what I'm saying? So there's no indication that at the state level that there's any change that would make sense for us to have an additional elementary school. So if like just going back to like why do we see two on this scenario, it's in my eyes, like Mr. Munoz mentioned, like this would be either replacing a school or a larger elementary where maybe there was a different configuration or something, but I also feel like this might just be in an effort to show this is a big piece of land.
Yeah, it could be just an architectural, artistic
With a couple buildings
rendering.
here, so.
Because you could put, I mean, if you're, I guess, and maybe I'm inferring things, but like, it seemed like at one point it was like the middle school's like super old, so it's like the middle school's the thing that is the thing, right? So you could take, and again, this is a lot of money, and I'm not about spending all this money, but like, you could take, if Valley View is also old and needing, you could build a middle school, or excuse me, an elementary school on like Hiawatha, TJ, finish that, then you could put a middle school
But
at Valley View is.
Mhm.
And you're not going out where there's no water,
Right.
there's no toilets, there's,
Right.
you're on one road that like, is just this long stretch where there's like nowhere to go.
And your acres are similar, like you said earlier, middle school is at 12.8 and Valley View is 11.6, so you mentioned earlier that those are, very similar.
And then I'm assuming the downtown of Menominee Falls would be interested in the middle school, the current middle school, after like all this is done and you've replaced things, now you demolish that building and then
And
people
then you
wanna
expand
do
your
something
downtown
in downtown.
presence.
And that has been expressed.
Mhm.
That has been communicated from some community members. That obviously, we have a very active downtown, a very vibrant downtown. But yes, that thought process has been officially communicated to me. That being said, the most valuable piece is that all of the middle school is valuable. But we put a lot of resources in, you would never knock down the pool, for example, or the theater. Both of those things would have to persevere. There's models of this in Fond du Lac, which ironically is where I went to school, but they knocked down my old high school, but they left the pool and they left the theater. I kid you not, if you go down to LP Goodrich, which is my old school, and now they built a new school on the other side of town, you can see the theater, and then this blank space in the middle, and then the pool on the other side. And it's interesting, I drive by it, I'm like, wow, okay, interesting what they did, but there's options. I think the Valley View property is an extremely valuable property for us because of its size and its access to two roads. And whatever we do, even if it's just with Valley View, it could fit a middle school. It could help it's easier for us to fix the drive up and pick up congestion concerns that are valid. For any Valley View parent who's dropped off and picked up, they know. Dr. Wofford, when you drop off your son at Valley View, or did, now he's at the middle school, sorry. But it's something we need to address regardless. On our continuous or our capital improvement.
I think these are good discussions. I think it gets our brains ticking on the future of our property. I'd be curious to see, how much work needs to be done at Valley View. And I know it's in our CIP plan. And then I'd like to see, how much more is, I know we did a lot at North with the roof and the chiller and all that, but how much more is remaining there as well?
Yeah, so we'll come back in December with our CIP plan and kind of with it reprioritize like we do each year for 26, 27, and then that impacts the future years as well.
Yeah.
So we can definitely bring that in December.
I think it's a good progression coming in December to look at the capital improvement plan, opposite of this, and say, all right, how much work? We have put a substantial amount of money into the middle school recently. The HVAC system is over $1 million, the roofing is over $1 million, that's all within the last 2 years. There's more work that needs to be done, of course, just like in any building. If you have an older home, there's gonna be things you need to do. So we have plans in place for that at the middle school already. So it's a good next meeting.
Off the top of your head, do you know how much we pay in property taxes on
We don't pay property.
at all? No, okay, good.
0.
That's good. It is, that's it.
All right, any other questions from board members? All right, thank you for that. We will move on to discussion item C, which is the 26-27 school year draft calendar. I know this is Leah's favorite thing in the world.
It is.
I love it so much.
I can just see you jumping for joy. I'm gonna ask you to remain calm.
So here it is for 26, 27. I think it looks fairly similar. I met with all of the directors and the principals to do a run through it. And then I met with a group from the MFEA, and I sent it to the co-presidents to get feedback on some of the areas where we were looking for feedback after meeting with the other group. And so this is the culmination of all of that. One of the biggest questions that I sent to the group to survey staff on was a calendar that is this one, or one that ended on June 4th. And interestingly enough, over 60% of the teachers that were surveyed take this calendar that ends on June 9th. So to the dismay of some and the, I guess, happiness of over 60%, we're going with this calendar. So that was the first question that I asked. The next question that I asked really does impact the teacher group the most, was up in August. We usually run new hire, the green, Tuesday through Friday. And I have heard this, that they would really prefer to have that Friday the 21st off, so we're running it Monday through Thursday. Then the other thing was before September 1st, between August 24th and that date, we need 5 of those lilac days. So I didn't care which 5, any 5, the consensus back from the group, the teacher group was they wanted Friday the 31st off and have that full week of August 24th. So that's what's on there.
You mean Monday the 31st?
Oh, I'm sorry, Monday the 31st, yes, sorry. Then the next question was, should we do what we did this year and have the elementary school have students start on September 2nd? The answer was yes, among actually the administration and the teachers group. So we're doing that. Sorry to secondary, but you have almost no extra minutes built into this calendar, so they have to start on the first. Then the other thing that has always been, as everyone who's ever heard me talk knows, the thorn in my side is conferences. And so we decided, based on all this feedback, that the schools were going to decide 2 evenings in October and 1 evening in March on the weeks that are highlighted in blue for them to have their conference nights. And they're going to work as schools to determine that. And since we do this so early, I said I would update a future calendar with those specific dates for each school. But for now, the schools are gonna have time to discuss that. Obviously, parents don't really need to know in November, a whole year before. Necessarily, I think maybe they want to, but they don't absolutely need to, as much as they'd like to know a day off, right? So, this would still be a school day, the conferences are at night. And so apparently that made, both the principals and the teachers group happy. And then I'm happy, about that. The rest of it, as I've said before, holidays really dictate a good chunk of when the other things are. We've stuck with our 3-day, and for the kids, really 4 days off, at Thanksgiving. Christmas didn't quite cut it this year to be 2 weeks. This current school year is gonna be our 2-week Christmas. Like I said, the secondary level, they have less than 2 days built into the calendar, so it's less than 2 days built in the calendar for snow day. I hate to say it, electricity day, that seems to be a thing that happens. I know I said it, but I mean, honestly, that seems to be a thing that hits
Only Selvig over.
actually like the high school BF in Riverside more, so the high schools actually had that hit. And so unfortunately, the secondary really dictates a lot of what we can do because we are just so tight on time. The nice thing is they can turn to virtual, if need be, because those minutes are so tight, whereas it's harder for the elementary. The elementary has, well, now with that 1 day, they have over 5 days built into the calendar, so Christmas kind of is, we have promised to have the 23rd off, so we're still doing that. We have said we would have MLK Day off, we're still doing that. For Easter, we have, for spring break, Easter is inside of it. So we are including that Monday off. April 30th is a bonus day in there, because if you look, anything that's, does not have a color in it is a full day of school. That was a lot of weeks between the end of March through the end of May. So a little break in there, and then Memorial Day. Now, just so everybody knows, that calendar that ended on June 4th, the thing that was different was June 4th would be a full day of school instead of a half day. And then there would be no April 30th and no March 29th. That was really, that was the difference. Like I said, this is the calendar that got picked. Sorry, Dan. So that's what the difference was with the other calendar.
Do you know when Easter is? Is it the?
Easter is the 28th,
Okay.
so Good Friday is March 26th. I call that Easter Monday,
Yeah.
I don't know why, I just think that's Easter Monday.
Okay.
It's the Easter weekend, it's the Easter weekend.
I'm fine with whatever calendar.
Yeah, me too.
And I'm glad that
I'm just happy when it's over.
I'm just glad the schools are deciding their conferences. So any calls?
Which I just wanna be honest, technically they were before because the principals would give me the dates, yet somehow it still was always some weird conflict, even though I got the dates from the principals who supposedly were meeting with their teams, and I do believe they were, but I don't know, everybody has a lot of thought on conference night. So the
I only
schools are going to
I
be
only have
thinking,
one comment from 2 sets of parents.
oh my gosh.
Was they wish conferences that different schools were on different nights, they're going, some people have kids at 3 different schools,
Yeah,
2 elementary schools and the middle school
we
or
have
whatever.
talked about that.
Yeah, that's a lot of driving.
I'm making no promises as for what they come up with, but
Right.
they are taking that back out to the schools. I said I will make a new calendar that can be sent out
Mhm.
once you have those dates, but I need a calendar approved now. I can't wait until February, March, or whatever it is. I want a calendar out now, and so that's why it'll be sent out now, with just those weeks highlighted. And, you know, if your eyes are still good, you can read that on the side. It says what is happening in those blue options there. So this is the calendar that I feel is a collaborative compromise calendar. And hopefully we can bring it to the full board in December.
We'll still graduate June 4th.
Well, I don't know. I'm not in that conversation.
Yeah, usually that's another question, because, when's high school graduation?
Yep, that
It makes
is,
sense that June 4th would.
yeah, that's not, Leah is not in those meetings.
Well, Dan and I had the conversation, I know it was
Okay.
projected to be June 4th.
Okay.
That won't change, it's gonna be a Friday, and I believe.
And I'm pretty sure it's always the Friday before school is out, because I don't think we've really ever ended on a Friday.
Yeah, it's what,
This far into June.
it's
you know.
June 6th this year, isn't it?
I think so.
Okay.
So,
Oh, good.
if you have any questions,
And you said this was your most popular option amongst all the groups?
yes. The ladies said that, the co-presidents said they sent it out to a large group of people, and the survey results were this. I took all of their responses.
So like, just so I'm envisioning this correctly, like there was like this calendar example and this calendar and this kind of example, or it's more like list of dates?
So I sent them this one and the one that ended on June 4th.
Gotcha.
And then the things where we had decision points, I made it like real pale colors, and then I wrote out the questions that we were looking to have answered.
Mhm.
Somehow I've acquiesced to meeting with the calendar committee. I haven't officially said I'll meet with the calendar committee yet. I need to know what that means. I need to know what a committee means. I've been doing, this is now my 17th year making a school calendar, and I need to know what I'm gonna be sitting through, but I've agreed to, yes, talk about all of it for 27, 28. That being said, I just always want people to understand, like, I know people feel like there's a lot of things that can happen, but there's actually way fewer things that can happen than people think can happen. Like, Labor Day plays a huge role in a calendar, because man, when it starts weird, it's not good.
Yeah.
And it can really affect things. You know, like, nobody wants to go to school, you know, on September, you know, and like have one day of school and then it's Labor Day or something, you know, it's just always wonky with Labor Day. That plays a huge role in how things roll out. Christmas, that starts playing, you know, Christmas, Thanksgiving, Easter, those things all play a huge role. Then, down at the very bottom of the left-hand side, we try to have, it's really tiny, but down here it shows how many days are in a semester, how many days are in a quarter, and a trimester. The only group right now using quarters are 6th graders, but that's still a whole lot of kids that have something happening at a quarter for their electives. So they also have to be balanced. So if you create a calendar, you can't have like some wonky, you know, 95-day semester 1 and 80-day semester 2. So there's actually like all these components that go into it, which I hate so much, because it's really like a spreadsheet. It's really a spreadsheet.
It actually is
It
an
is
Excel file.
literally an Excel file, it's in a spreadsheet. That is not my world, it's Caitlin's world. She loves them, and there's a lot of numbers and a lot of counting, and it's shockingly not as flexible as people think it is. I work 260 days. My staff works 260 days. I have nobody that works this calendar. I would love everybody to be happy when a calendar comes out. I will literally never in my life make everybody happy when a calendar comes out. So I'm trying to get feedback from all the humans possible, but I promise you, even in 27, 28, if I sit through 12 calendar committees, a large percentage of people will still be dissatisfied with the calendar that comes out. So it's just my preemptive warning. I feel like this is a good one. I feel like it's making a lot of people happy, but the calendar is always a very, very tricky thing to make everybody happy. I didn't even make David happy with his calendar.
Yeah, right.
Any other just questions?
No, I just was shocked by the June 4th thing. I just really thought June 4th was gonna come out the winner. I was kind of expecting that, and then it didn't. So I was kind of like surprised that it.
What changed in the calendar? Do you give me
So to get June 4th off,
Yeah,
I'm gonna be honest, the secondary was down to like 1.1 extra days in the
Right.
calendar. They had to work a full day on June 4th.
Uh-huh.
And then no April 30th off, and no March 29th off. But to me, I was like, the people always complain that we're going into June, so, it's really only 2 days, like, you can power through, maybe, I don't know, I mean, it's been a long time since I was a teacher. I was like, well, if you really wanna be done June 4th, it can't just happen.
That's how, yeah.
2.5 other days had to come out of the calendar, because now secondary is at 1.1, I'm just being honest, in Wisconsin, that's like, that's
That's
nothing
pushing it.
to have 1.1 extra days built into the calendar. So I kind of thought maybe that would win. Because the ladies told me they didn't really think April 30th was necessary, but then that only pushed us to June 8th. Like, it wasn't doing enough to really make a big dent. So I kind of thought, well, if people don't really feel like they need April 30th, well, then do you really need March 29th, and then you could get done on June 4th? I don't know, this was for other people to weigh in, and if that's what over 60% of the people said, that's fine,
Do we normally have we don't normally have the Monday after spring break off though.
it depends. So we have had it when it touches Easter, so,
Easter's the 21st though, right?
no, Easter's, Good Friday is the 26th.
Oh,
So Easter is the 28th. So the CISA 1 group, which is pretty much the school districts in our kind of like southeastern Wisconsin area, we have all agreed to similar to the same spring break. And so it's usually the last full week of March. If Easter is in there, we include it, obviously. I don't know which year it was, Easter was like really late. So then we had 1 week of spring break, and then we had a 4-day Easter holiday where we had Good Friday and Easter Monday off, but it was like way down here in April. So we have been trying to give people the day off of Easter, because similar to Thanksgiving, people like to have the day before and after the actual like holiday celebration off.
No, I think it's great.
And then in this calendar, like I said, if we didn't have that day off, it's not doing a whole lot to the end of the school year.
Right.
Like, it's still pushing it into that second week, it's not really making a dent. And then it doesn't really help up in December, because, okay, if you have the 22nd off, and who the heck's coming to school on the 21st, right? So it kind of just worked out that people could have these like wraparounds around the holidays.
I think that's great for travel.
So, like I said, I sent it to the ladies, they sent me all the feedback, and I accepted all of their feedback. I will accept more feedback in 27, 28. But like I said, I didn't build it yet, but
I think the later we go in June is problematic. for planning.
I've already received your feedback, yeah, I know,
I think it's parental feedback.
okay. Well, you know, like next year, Christmas is gonna fall on a weekend, you know, so then that kind of, all the pushing.
I tend to look at it through a different lens. I just do.
just
I
look
don't-
through it through the feedback lens,
I get it, I get it.
Is it just a historical precedent to have the Monday after Thanksgiving off?
Oh, that's just when it falls for us with,
Professional development.
for professional development day. So
It's just historically been professional development.
it's connected to the end of a trimester. So for the elementary schools, it's a work day for them to get grades wrapped up because it's the end of their trimester. And then for secondary, it's a PD day. So it's actually kind of just where it falls. And whenever we have, so honestly, whenever we have these lilac days, they're Mondays or Fridays because families don't want like some random Thursday off. They would prefer to have, I mean, I'm guessing employees too, would rather have a long weekend. So families get a real nice Thanksgiving.
Great, so we got our calendar, we're gonna vote at the next board meeting, okay, good?
Yep, move right along.
Retirement.
Early retirement option.
So we're just bringing this back as we said we would the last time. So we already talked about all of this in depth. In fact, I pretty much copied last year's board item, committee item, and just changed some of the dates. So when we first decided to do this early retirement window, the early retirement part of it was a 3-year window. And we still have this year and the following year in that 3-year window, and at the time we said we wanted to do the like the sweetener, the extra $5,000 during the first year of this early window. And we just did it for the first year because we wanted to kind of see how it went, what did it look like, fiscally, how it worked out. And after regrouping, we've decided that we would offer that extra $5,000 for the entire window. I think that was originally kind of our hope was to do that, but we didn't want to overcommit before we had that first year of it. So we do plan on now extending that extra bonus for the early retirement window through the next 2-year options. And then in here, it kind of just laid out what it looks like for the different groups to retire. The first group that has a deadline to let us know is the teacher and administrators group by February 28th. And so I don't believe this year we're having the same kind of professional development we did last February. So we won't have any retirement sessions, but we will be sending out the new Road to Retirement book so everybody can, I mean, I think a lot of people have come to the sessions, so I think anybody who's been interested in retiring in the next 5 years has come. But we will be sending out the new retirement book, with all of our notices of deadlines coming up for the different, employees in the different groups to let them know all the things, ours just being one of them, but all of the other WRS and other components that go with it, so we wanted to bring that back as an update to our early retirement window.
Can you remind how many took this year's and then how many would potentially fall into these windows
Oh, yeah. So,
roughly?
oh, I didn't bring that sheet with me, I've got the full retirement book, but okay. So we had about 63 teacher group folks who were eligible for retirement in the 3-year window. And that was the combination of all of them, so you were 55 to however much older than that. And then we had about 20,
It's 2021.
about 20 in that group. So there's still about another 40 some, low to mid 40s
So I'll
left,
go for the 5,000.
eligible for the next 2 years of the early retirement window.
So some of them like weren't eligible last year, but might be eligible in year
Yes.
3. So of the
Yes.
63, maybe not all 63 were eligible last
last year.
Oh no, that is my number for the whole window, so 63. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
they
in
were
total.
eligible at some time
At
in
some
the
point,
window,
yeah.
So some are turning 55 in year 2, some 55 in year 3. Although many of the people who retired this past year didn't need the 55, they were already 57 or older. So a few people did take advantage of it though, but it was actually more people who were already eligible than people who benefited from the window. And everybody always has their own plans. This just offered an option for people who were ready earlier. So yeah, there's still another 40-some in the teacher group who are eligible.
What percentage of staff is that then, the 63?
Oh, who wants to do the math?
Oh.
We have like 315 in that group. So like who's
I mean,
doing,
if it's not.
I like who's doing the
I'm
math.
gonna call it over 300,
There's about
21%,
there's about 315 in that group.
315, 63 divided by
20%.
But the 63 is now down to, 43. That's how many we have left. Well, I'm just saying,
14%.
now there's 14% left. I don't remember the numbers for the other groups off the top of my head, but I do know that the group that benefited the most from the lowering of the age was the teacher group.
Yes, any further questions from the board? Alright, thank you, Leah. Alright, that ends our discussion items for the evening, there are no action items, so I just need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Do I have a motion? Do I have a second? I have a motion and a second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Alright, we are adjourned and it is 7:02.
Thank you very much.